What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Day Trade with Zay. My name's Isaac, and today is Monday, January 17, 2022. Today is actually bank holiday. It's Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, so that was celebrated today. But man, this one kind of hurts because I did have a sell-off. If you guys tuned into the stream, you could go ahead and check that out as well. The stream for today, 117, and you know you could see where I took some of my cells at, what I was doing, and you could actually see I came back to check exactly what happened. Man, it kind of hurts because it did basically what I wanted it to do. It went to the levels that I wanted it to go to, which were down here. I was going to take some profit here at 61.8% to match up with the IOC right here, and I thought there was a good chance it could break down to the downside. It eventually ended up doing that, but about 2 hours ago, which is about 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So, it happened about 12 later after I would have liked it to. But it was expected, and that's why I jumped off of the computer. My bias was a sell-off, but I jumped off because I knew that the volatility wasn't there because the volume wasn't there. There just wasn't enough people trading. So when that happens, you just kind of got to step away. And, fortunately for me, I use smaller lot sizes. I was closing my trades really quick. And you guys could go ahead and check out the replay of the live stream. I'm sure it'll be right there. And I'll go ahead and set it up at the end of this video. But it is what it is. And it was something that I kind of went into the day knowing that could happen. But man, it just hurts to actually see the trade basically play out the way you wanted it to. I would have definitely taken these sells if I would have seen these fall offs right here, um, during the New York session. But it is what it is. So just to go over it, let you guys know exactly why I was taking the trade. Um, so when I came into the charts, I seen that there was basically a level that it was hitting, right? Rejection here, rejection here. And I seen that on a smaller time frame, we could see higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, lower low, right? Lower than that one. Then, but that could be a fluke, right? So even this low right here, it was eventually broken by this low. So that automatically gave me cause to pause. I set up my Fibonacci and I said, you know what? I think this thing can break down to the downside. I think it broke structure to the downside. And we could see it at least shift down to these levels right here at 61.8%. Um, so I drew out the fib, and this is a 62% level. So it basically got up to about 60% at this ILC here, rejected down twice, right? First time here, second time here. And so I drew it out from the top of this high here to the new low here. And let's actually just replay it so I can show you exactly what happened at 6:30. All right, so we got the replay here. And this is essentially what happened was price was kind of forming on the 1 minute chart. You could see that it was creating these lower highs. Each wick was getting lower than the next. And I seen a trend line forming. At open, I did take a small sell, but I believe I think I took profits at break even, or I moved my stop loss to break even, and basically I got stopped out there. I just did it. I wasn't confident in the way price was moving at this time. Yeah, I did break even here because I think I was up a little bit and then got stopped out. Eventually, price moved up. I seen here that there was, the 5 minute EMA. We had some nice resistance to support. So these are so 61% ILC here. This is why I have this level here. Here you could see a little bit of resistance, support, resistance, support, support, resistance, 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 a little bit of support. So this was a good supply and demand area for me. And I also noticed here that this was a good supply and demand area. You see some resistance here, some support up top, support here, a little bit of resistance, support, 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 all the way across the board, and it broke below it. So I knew it was possible for price to come up and reject this area again, especially with the 50 EMA here. We already had the 20 EMA crossover, so I knew it was possible. Um, Price basically did that. We were able to, again, price came down. Let me pause it there. You can see that price basically gave me the confidence to stay in the trade. I had seen this candle here, right here in the middle, just a huge rejection candle. with this one here, and then this huge bearish candle. But another thing that I even spoke about inside of the trade was that we have this trend line here, in the same way we use support and resistance here. Look at how this trend line was used. You see all this resistance here off this trend line. But then once it broke above it, what did it do? Started using it as a support level and pushed up to the upside. I believe this is when I hopped out. I just said I didn't want to trade anymore. I didn't like what price was doing. You could see it was just basically staying in between these zones. Um, but eventually, you could see it pushes up. Um, I really do advise you guys to go ahead and take a look at the live stream though, because I think I was able to utilize some good money management. Kind of trusting my gut, having a feel for the charts today in terms of, hopping out of the trades when I thought, okay, this candle's too high, it's too much. Let's get out of this trade. So um, I think you guys should take a look at it. But you can see price broke above the 50 EMA, right? Rejected at the 61%, which was another level I was looking to sell off of, and basically it was a good rejection, but not enough, about 25 pips. Um, but you can see it now sitting above it, kind of rejecting it, staying on top, pushing up to the upside. And I wasn't here watching all this, but I think the levels are drawn out pretty nicely in terms of, you could see where price is staying. The supply and demand areas are pretty accurate for the most part. And yeah, this is basically what price did for the remainder of the day. I wasn't on the charts at these times, but you could see it was basically a bad day to trade. It basically was sitting in between a 50 pip zone and inside of a 30 pip zone for a while. Broke down to the downside, faked out again, stuck at this level, rejected the EMA, faked out, came up here, rejected the supply and demand, faked out. Oof, and that's where we start to see it coming. These huge pushes to the downside, I'm assuming, are coming right now. And you could just see how the levels were kind of formed out, what I was looking at. Basically stayed in these levels for a long time. But you could see it basically never broke this high. Once it got up here to the 61%, I don't think it ever got back up here. And basically stayed around the 70% from this area. But we could even drop this down now and see what it looks like, right? We could pull this down, Fibonacci here. And now look at, it's basically rejecting all these 70% area right here. You could see a steep hill. And that's one thing I'd take notice of. I do notice from time to time you'll see price. Once it's kind of stalled out and you can see that the area is basically, it's not breaking through to the upside. One thing I'd look for is this, a bunch of smaller, higher highs and higher lows created here, right? You can see it's sitting on top, but it's never breaking above. And then you see the exhaustion of candles here, right? There's no movement to the upside. It keeps being brought back down. This right here would give me a little bit of cause to pause. Rejection candle off 20 EMA. Looks like it's going to push up, but boom. Gets engulfed here, breaks down to the downside. And once you see this bearish engulfing candle right here, that's something that I like to see in terms of a sell-off. Even though here you see it, I would probably put a sell in as soon as it comes up to this level, just because this strong candle usually fills down to the downside like how it did here. Even though there's a good example of it not, you always want to go ahead and trust your instinct, especially off these levels here. And if you do put a trade in here, you would have to think that, if you're putting it in right here, let's say at this point, oops, sorry, let's say we're putting it in at this point, right? You would think you would need at least this type of stop loss, right? Because you want it to fill this. And me, I am really tight with my stop losses, and it could be my downfall. But for right now, that's how I like to manage my money, my accounts. I don't like to have 63 pip stop losses and whatnot, but I would probably have it somewhere above here. I probably would have got stopped out, truthfully. Is it above this? Yeah, it's above that. So truthfully, I probably would have got stopped out. Maybe would have put it at 40 pips just to save 40 pips. I mean, it says it wouldn't have got stopped out, but yeah. And we'd be carrying this to the downside, right? But let's say it comes up to this level right here, right? Now we would be looking for this trade here. Let's draw this out. draw these out. And let's say, let's draw this out so we could go ahead and see it a little bit more clearly. All right. So we have that here. I would wait for this trade here. I would enter at this area up top. And I would do something like this. I would wait for this fall right here. If you're on the charts, if we see this at open and see something like this is what I would do. I'd have about a 17, let's just call it a 20 pip stop loss, right? And we would take it to the downside. First take profit would be probably here at this level, but I really did have it at the original 61.8%, which was right here at this level, about 120 pips. And it would have lined up perfectly. So I would have taken my take profit right here at this level, because on a bigger time frame, let me go ahead and show you here. I had a nice trend line that was set up. All right, let's go to the 4 hour. It's a little bit more clear. You can see this nice trend line that's been set up, right? Boom. Rejected here, came up, rejected here. And all I did was I drew it out like this. And, price broke through at this point, but I thought it was still a useful trend line, because after price broke through, it eventually broke back up to the upside. So, yeah, I probably would have took my profits there at about 120 pips, but that's a great trade. Either way, when you have a 20 pip stop loss, what is that? A 1-to-6 risk reward ratio, and that's something you want to use, something you want to see. So that's definitely the trade I would have taken. But even then, when you see how much force it's coming down with, you could see exactly what it would have done, which is push below all this shit. Right, broke below it. Now it's rejecting this previous golden zone ILC, it looks like. Oh yeah, I guess while I was talking there, look at what it did in the past, 9 minutes. Full engulfing candle up to the upside, right? I wouldn't have taken this trade just because of all this madness right here, but this was a strong level that I had. I think this was the 1 hour ILC. You could see it rejected there, right? So you could see it does have its strength, right? But let's see if it breaks above the trend line. Let's see if it gets through all this. It might just be a strong break to the downside to confirm we're coming down, because now not only is this low broken, this low's broken, this low's broken, and these two lows are broken, right? So I think, tomorrow we're looking pretty bearish here on the US 30, and we'll see what happens from this point on. But yeah, I appreciate you guys for tuning in today. If you guys have any insight, any tips, anything that you see that I might be possibly doing wrong, please go ahead and comment. I truly do appreciate it. This is me documenting my trading journey. I'm new to this still, but I'm learning every day and I'm committed to it. And I advise the same for everybody else. But I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Today wasn't a winning day, but it was a great money management day. The video is only about 38 minutes, so I do advise you guys to go ahead and take a look at that. It'll be up at the end of the video here. But I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and thank you. My name's Isaiah. Welcome to Day Trade with Zay. Go ahead and hit the Instagram, but go ahead and get the Instagram too, at Day Trade with Zay. Subscribe, like, comment. I appreciate you guys and your time. Have a good one.